Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Urbantech Shaping the Future of Smart Cities series, Proptech and Built Environment, Waste and Clean Management, and Circular Economy. I am Millie Hong from the Hong Kong Science and Technology Parks Corporation, your MC of today's event. ParticleX has been HKSTP's valued co-incubation partners for many years. Their Urbantech Global Challenge, PUGC, matches startups and corporations with angel investors and incubators. At the sharing session today, you will not only hear success stories and practical information about innovative technologies driving digital transformation in urban cities, but also obtain important information about the application process and benefits of participating in the PUGC initiative. Now, it is my pleasure to welcome Mr. Chin Yong Lu, Senior Manager of Start Me Up HK, to deliver opening remarks. Everyone, please join me in welcoming Mr. Lu.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. This is CY from Invest Hong Kong, and here sitting with me is my teammate Stanley. Right. Welcome to this event, and I don't have much thing to say because this event has already said it very much about itself. Right? A lot of great startups, investors, and also corporate supporters all sitting here, working together to solve a lot of the problems we have in our city today. Well, Hong Kong is a city. But we're not very smart yet. Yeah, this is a joke that I often tell the friends and also visitors to Hong Kong. We have a lot of buildings that they are A-grade buildings, but they are not yet modified into the way they're very green. And we also have a lot of very old buildings. They are still currently being lived by many people and still providing commercial values. Yet they are not. It will cost the developers a lot to tear them down completely and then build the new ones. So sometimes we have to use embedded technologies to make this city greener, and that is a challenge of this urban that we're living right now, this city. So in Invest Hong Kong, what we do is that we're not an investment fund. We are the government department that promotes investments coming to Hong Kong. So we encourage companies from all over the world to get in touch with us, and also to let us give you the information of Hong Kong about these cities and what are the opportunities. Where do they? What does it mean to you? And every year we have new policies coming out. We have new fundings injected into different areas. We love to share this with you. Right. And my team is called Start Me Up Hong Kong, and Stanley and me were in the team that the name says it's a dedicated team to support startup companies, support entrepreneurs coming back to Hong Kong and expand their business here in Hong Kong. And today I just want to do a very simple sharing. It's about our startup ecosystem. This is a survey that we do every year to give us a landscape and of the view, an overview of the startup ecosystem in Hong Kong. And these numbers were just out a week ago on Friday. And according to the latest number, we have nearly 4,000 startups. To be precise, the number is 3,985 startups here. And it is a 6% jump from the year before. So we have actually a very resilient startup ecosystem, despite in COVID, right? Many companies, many entrepreneurs, they still find new opportunities to set up, and then they grow, right? And the evidence of growth can be seen here in the number of employees. The number of employees of all these companies that they are hiring has also increased by 8% to nearly 15,000. Of course, it's a very conservative number, and the actual numbers of the employees benefiting from the startup ecosystem is actually even more. And another evidence that we see about this ecosystem is that the number of locations of co-work spaces, incubators, and accelerators has also increased to 132. That's a 6% jump from the year before. We see co-working spaces going expansion, contractions, and now we see a lot more specializations of the co-work spaces. Many co-working spaces, they are not just asking for large spaces, or no longer general ones. They are more specialized in certain area, like e-commerce, or they specialize in textile, or they specialize in professional services. Right? We see this clustering effect coming up in Hong Kong's ecosystem. Next page, please. Yes. So another interesting thing about Hong Kong's ecosystem is very international. We have about 72% of the startup founders, they are from Hong Kong, but we have, in the rest, they have foreign background. That's about a third of the founders have foreign background. It's a very high percentage compared to other ecosystems in the world, and that gives you diversity. That gives you opportunities to work with different ideas and different cultures. And very often this we call it cross-pollination, right? That gives you new results. And also partners when you want to go global expansions. And another thing, it's very heartening. We see our the categories of different startups. Right? In Hong Kong, number one is fintech. Yeah, we know it's a financial hub, so it provides a very fertile soil for fintech companies to grow. Most of them, they are B2B kind of business, because we have a very small C, only 7.5 million, but we have a lot of B, a lot of financial companies that are still looking for solutions to upgrade their digital transformation process. But we see another category, the e-commerce category is catching up very fast. It's almost the same number as the fintech. And I think we all know why, because during COVID time, we're using a lot more online shopping, and that also drives up the logistics and also the supply chain management technologies. So we see this is number two, but it's catching up with number one. And number three, because of the previous two, we see the ICT industries is also benefiting from this. App writers and also website writers, coders, all these different, and also the full stack engineers. We see the companies that they're hungry for this kind of talents, and very often they also work with startup companies in these areas. And education and learning is number fourth, right? Because we see COVID has actually it drives up the demand for remote distance learning and also the technology that comes with it. And it's not just for students, for kids. Actually, adult learning, corporate training has also started adopting these new technologies, right? And that's why it's number fourth. And number fifth is the professional services. A lot of the consultants, lawyers, auditors, they're leveraging the current technology platforms to provide equally good quality services at a lower rate. And they can easily leverage the co-working spaces to give their clients a much better quality, okay? So that's it for the sharing for today. It's okay to download it from our website. And if you have any questions about ecosystem, feel free to come to me and Stanley. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lu. Please be seated. Now, please welcome Mr. Mingus Choi, CXO of ParticleX, to give us a welcome remarks and introduction. Mr. Choi, please.
Hi, hello. Good afternoon, and I'm happy to see some of my friends and very familiar faces. And but still, I need to introduce myself. I'm Mingus Choi, the Chief Exploration Officer of ParticleX, and yeah. So some of you may have understand what we are doing. We're an angel fund with a very keen interest on data technology, AI, blockchain, and we invest now so far have 40 companies all over the world, and at least 15 of them are from Hong Kong, and then 25 of them are from all over the world. And one of our core services is investment, but we also have investment. We also have a data analytic lab in Tsinghua University in the Graduate School of Shenzhen. So Shenzhen Tsinghua 大學深圳研究生院, yeah. And that's very spectacular initiative because not too many funds, you may learn that they don't have any research lab. But because we are a family foundation, so it's more flexible for us to do that. And we also, this is the background of family from the shoes making company called Bell International before, and it's still existing. The Bell International base not anymore in a private, not anymore in the public domain, as at least the company now is privatized. And the founding family cash out 2017 so that we can have some mission and passion to work together, and they invited me to join the fund and kickstart everything since 2017. But I think the most important is why we structure everything in these ParticleX, because we believe technology is very a driving pillars and major elements of all the innovation. So that's why we support technology instead of just talking about innovation. So we have identify and classify different categories of technology, and then some are very basic and infrastructure like edge and cloud. So as an angel investor, you never invest in a cloud infrastructure. Okay, you don't need to do that. But we have riding on a lot of partners of cloud infrastructure, and then we will work with them, and then we will inspire more technology from, say, property or new retail or education or medical. So this is one of our the map of our portfolios is just part of that. But feel free to look at our website. And today I want to just to illustrate some of the key points of ESG and also urban tech and why everything is meta. Okay. Forgive me because I'm a teacher before, so it's like a lecture. But when you look at the history of ESG and SDG, there's a very interesting stories that someone will miss because we are talking ESG now because of the bankers and also the professionals. But instead, when you look at the background, it's because of 1980, we have the incident of oil leakage in the Alaska Bay by one of the very biggest petroleum companies. So that will, you have everything on news every day at that month. Okay, more than, I can tell you the figure is more than 10 million barrels of petroleum leaked, and also it's affected more than 2,000 kilometers of coastal line. Birds killed, fish all killed. So at that time, 1980s, people are aware of the climate change or how this affects everything, our nature, okay, our Mother Earth. So, and the white area, blanket, this is the South African isolation district, okay. Remember that, or we call that history, okay, in South Africa, still have a discrimination of races and things. So people are well aware of that. So these all are the fundamental elements of environmental factors, the social factors, and also in 1997, one of the very reputable professor called John Elkington, he's the first guy who proposed the triple bottom line. When we studying social entrepreneurship, we know that triple bottom line is about environmental, economics, and financial, and also the social. But he proposed is in a ranking order of people, planet, and profit, 3P, okay? So people went first because we need to take care of people first, and then planet, and then the profit. So what he inspired is nowadays, because I taught social entrepreneurship since 2007, so this is one of my very favorite topics and research in Hong Kong for how to empower more social entrepreneurial young people, and then to adopt the triple bottom line, and then to do something good for the society. And when you look at the UN also doing the same thing, that in 1997, around that, we have the Global Reporting Initiative, which this is one of the initiatives by the Secretary of the UN, at that time is Anand, who is very, he got the Nobel Prize of Peace, but what he achieved is he tried to get more than 20 global institutional investors to come together and then look, you need to invest in a very, with a social impact, invest in a good business, okay, don't invest in evil businesses. So that's why people are all aware of ESG because of that. But having said that, in 2005, he initiated that, and all the big bankers following the policy, but no one understands how to implement it in detail. So after 10 years, 2015, we have this color wheel, SDG. Okay, you may have heard about the 17 SDG, Sustainable Development Goals. So this is the real history of what we are talking about, ESG and SDG. So that's why this is important. Is we need details. We need clear roadmap. We need some guidelines. So it's also in UN. It's not a fault, but it's just maybe too simple. Think about of a ESG first with a free objective, and then down to the details with 17 development goals. And then each goal will have different criteria, so more than 160 of a sub-goal. of how to do that. So feel free to download from UN. It's free of charge, and everyone can learn from there. And that's why I was also inspired by everything by UN and also by what I've been experiencing in social entrepreneurship. So that's why we try to make something interesting is the Urbantech. Okay, today we are proposing to all the startups and also especially the local big companies to work together on something innovative, something that we can work out for the ESG goals and also all the 17 SDGs. And the special mission is how to use the technology and to drive innovation and maybe for the goods of corporate cost saving or revenue growth, but it's also very good for the startups to do something implementation, and also the government can also try to attract talents, and also we investors, we can also have some investment potential. So look at this, according what I study, and all the SDG 17 can be allocated to each of the ESG. So feel free to further evaluate for that. But why Urbantech is so important now? If you recall that in 2020, we organized the Proptech program, which mostly focused on construction and property development. But we have been organizing that for 5 cohorts. And it has been quite successful. I cannot claim it's too successful. It's just 230 companies already joined us and expressing their interest and also disclosing their profile. We have publicized them in our website. But I think because after 5 times, I think it's good to get more partners together. You can count as it's like a prototype or a test trial run of the first 5 cohorts. And now we do it in Urbantech, which has a larger scope. So what we define Urbantech is a global initiative to connect technologies with the primary stakeholders of the 6 pillars of Urbantech ecosystem to engage and collaborate and for addressing the challenges ahead. So this is my motto. And what we withdraw this structure of with infrastructure as the central elements or the central driving pillars. Because when you start a city, we have a representative from Smart City Consortium. Kubi is here. I think you're very expert on that. So when we do anything on a city development, we need infrastructure, we need the energy, water, electricity, and so on. But we also have a transportation infrastructure, so it also related to the mobility. But Chinese, we always have the 衣食住行, okay, the 4 pillars. So we have dressing, dress or lifestyle, even we count it as education and culture as one part, and also living, very important. So real estate and buildings and environment. And also we have the food and safety and public health. And the 4th one is the mobility and transportation. So everything covered around the infrastructure. But most important is the circular economy, which we can call it as a recycle logic of how we have input and output, and then the wastage, how we can do that. So that's also called back to the sustainable development and also the environmental factors. So this is our program, and you can find more details in the website. And the most important is, please, if you are a startup, welcome to join us. If you're big companies, also welcome. Although you are not in our official partners, but we also welcome you to communicate and then to take a look of our next candidates. They should be available in January and February next year. We are still open for application and registration. So today we try to inspire more corporate and also startups to join together in the future next 2 sessions. All right, thank you for your participation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Choi. Please be seated. Now let's move into our first session today. We are delighted to have 3 expert speakers to share on transition to a circular economy and reshape clean and waste management industries. May I now invite the first speaker, Mr. Ron Chow, Chief Strategy Officer of Baguio Green Group, to share with us on Baguio's circular economy leadership in Hong Kong. Mr. Chow, please.
Thank you. Okay, let me introduce ourselves. We are the Baguio Green Group. We have two hacks in Hong Kong. One hack is that we are the biggest cleaner in Hong Kong. Almost on the street, for every 2 streets on the street, we clean 1. So our market share in Hong Kong is 50%. We are the biggest street cleansing company in Hong Kong. So we are everywhere. And the second hack is that we are the biggest recycler in Hong Kong, which I will focus on this topic today. Okay, let's talk about what is circular economy. The traditional model is a linear economy. We extract the resources from the nature, we make a product, we use it, and we dump it as a waste. So it is a linear traditional model. Circular economy is like we get the resources from the nature, make a product, use it, and recycle it to create another new product again, to make sure the product will have an infinite time for a knife to use the product again and again and again forever. That we call circular economy. And then talk about the practical sense of what Baguio is doing in Hong Kong. As I said, we are the biggest recycler in Hong Kong. We collect from more than 5,000 collection points in Hong Kong every day. As you will be familiar, for a lot of streets, you can see the 3 color bins on the street. And they are the access by the EPD, the Environmental Protection Department. They put in about 2,600 points in Hong Kong. And we are the underlying operator for all 2,600 bins in Hong Kong. They are everywhere, Hong Kong Island, Kowloon, New Territories, and the islands. And we are the only one operator. The reason behind is that because we have the capability to convert all those recyclables to new products again, which I will elaborate later on. And we also collect from about 2,200 points for glass bottles. We are not only a collector, we are also a marketer to collect the glass bottles. I'll give you an example. The glass bottle collection points are placed by Baguio. So we do a lot of local marketing communication with the pub on the street, for example. Hey, how many glass bottles you will create every night? How many glass bottles we will help you to collect? And then we'll place a bin near the pub or restaurant or shopping mall to make them a lot of convenient. And there is a contract under the government by the environmental EPD, and they reward us by the volume. So we are the actual people to do a lot of pushing, marketing. We call it marketing to make sure the volume we collect every day is maximized from our education and marketing work. And we have a lot of 6 shops in every district in Hong Kong. They are run by the NGO, and we are the underlying collector for the collectibles, or recyclables. And this machine is reverse vending machine. There are about 100 machines placed by the A.S. Watsons, and we are the underlying collector for those plastic bottles. So we are everywhere. And then in terms of, we are one of the biggest users of green technology, and we are also a creator of new green technology. So you can see the traditional 3 color bins. Previously, the government auditing department has a lot of criticism to EPD on this bin because they are not as effective as we could imagine. There are a lot of pain points. For example, we will never know whether the bin is full or not. Sometimes we will collect too early and we will waste our logistic carbon footprint, or we may come too late and then it create some environmental nuisance. So it's too easy to dump things inside. So sometimes some citizens, some people in Hong Kong treat this as a normal rubbish bin, and that will contaminate the recyclables, that make it non-recyclable. So there are a lot of pain points. So we create a smart recycle bins. And that is the aspiration of the EPD, the Hong SAR, because they want to have a migration of the traditional one to a smart one, and then we create one model. And we got a large contract from the Hong Kong EPD government 2 months ago. And they are having a pilot scheme for 24 months. So they will subscribe from us, and then this machine will solve all the pain points. Because the pain points, they are not from nowhere. We have been operating the 3 color bins for more than 10 years. So we know them inside out. So we make sure the R&D work will cover all the pain points we discovered in the last 10 years. So I'm leading the team to do the R&D and make sure that the machine can resolve all the pain points. So they have field sensor, and then they have some disinfecting element inside to make sure there's no jam inside. And then they are also have a membership scheme. So if the people want to recycle, they scan the car. We use the same system as the green incentive scheme of the sex shop. So the people scan the car, the bin will open, and then we will know who, when, what they're recycling. And then we'll motivate them because the sex shop have the incentive scheme. We motivate by the weight they recycle. So they resolve every pain points in the traditional one. So this, I think we will see the first 100 bins within the next 2 months in Hong Kong. They will be deployed by our government, by our company. And then in terms of the coverage of the recycling business, we are the biggest recycling group. We have the widest in terms of the type of recyclables. We don't build our recycling business in one day. We built our recycling business in 10 years, okay? 10 years ago, we started to expand the type of recyclables progressively from plastic, glass, horse waste, chicken waste, wood waste, paper, chemical waste, and food waste. We do it progressively in the last 10 years. So once we expand our types of recyclables, we will start usually as a collection agent for the government. And then once the volume is getting bigger, we understand the industry, and then we'll do a vertical integration alongside with the horizontal integration. So we build our recycling facilities or recycling plants in Hong Kong to create new products. You may be amazed that almost most of the recyclables we collect today, we create a new product. For example, plastic, we have a recycled plastic. Glass, we create a glass cullet. And the horse waste, we create the organic fertilizer. Chicken waste, we create the animal protein. So almost all products will have a new end product, and we use again in Hong Kong, which I'll elaborate. We have 7 recycling plants in Hong Kong. Most people, when they do the industrial thing, they do the industrial thing in China. But we do all the recycling plants in Hong Kong for several reasons. The first reason is that we want to eliminate our carbon footprint. The second point is that we want to make sure the waste we create in Hong Kong, we recycle it and we will reuse it again in Hong Kong, and like a closed loop within Hong Kong. So we will not be affected by COVID and the blockage of the transportation. No problem at all, because we do everything here in Hong Kong. And then we have 2 sorting plants in Hong Kong for plastic. For plastic, they are a mix of everything. You can imagine it could be the plastic drinking bottle, it could be the shampoo bottle, plastic bag, plastic toys, for example. We have automatic sorting machine to sort the plastic into their categories. There are 7 categories, 7 plastic categories for plastic arena. So the type number 1 is the plastic drinking bottle. Number 2 is a shampoo bottle, milk bottle, etc. So we sort them into their own categories for the sake of creating 7 different kinds of products. For example, for the drinking bottle, we have the only one plant in Hong Kong. We joint venture with Swire Coca-Cola in Eco Park. So this is the only plant that could collect the drinking bottles to create a recycled plastic that could create a new bottle again, end to end. You may be interested to know whether it is only for Coca-Cola drinking bottle. The answer is no. The aspiration, the target of this plant is to collect every single bottle across all brands in Hong Kong. As long as they consume in Hong Kong, they get it back here. We create a new material to create the new bottles. The reason is that we want to achieve a 0 emission target for the Hong Kong SAR in Hong Kong. So this is our target. It is the only plant and the first plant in Hong Kong. We joint venture with Coca-Cola. And another interesting plant is that, as you know, There are a lot of glass bottles in Hong Kong, like the beer bottles, red wine, and the sauce bottles. They are really bulky, and then they are not easy to decompose in the landfill. So we collect them. We have a plant in Twin Moon. We call it the glass recycling plant to put it into the recycled gas cullet. Our recycled gas cullet is widely used in the construction industry in Hong Kong. The first typical example is that when the airport authority want to build the third runway, the first step they need to do is to have the reclamation from the sea. So they use our gas cullet as one of the components to reclaim the sea before they build the third runway. And also, there's some factory for the cement and the recycled bricks. They use our recycled gas cullet as one of the raw materials to build the construction materials. So it's like an example. So we convert the waste into something important, valuable, and we use again in Hong Kong. And we are helping the Hong Kong Jockey Club to resolve the horse manual, the horse waste, because they have the horse in Hong Kong, and to make it to be an organic fertilizer. Our organic fertilizer is widely used in some greenery project in Hong Kong. For the same example, for the airport authority, alongside with the runway, there are some grassland. They use our organic fertilizer as a material. And then I think this is my baby because I'm actively involved in this project. This is a very interesting project because even Hong Kong is a city, but we do have the chicken farms in Hong Kong to breed the chicken. And every day, there are 35 tons of chicken manure produced in Hong Kong. So Baguio is the collection contractor on behalf of the EPD to go to every single farms to collect the chicken manure and put it in the landfill. That's not too good because the organic waste, they will have some pollution element. So we got one project, we pitched the government, and then we got one project last year, early this year, to breed an insect called black soldier flies. This black soldier fly is like swarm, it's a little one. But the characteristic of this black soldier fly is that it can eat a lot of things, and it eats very quickly. We breed the black soldier flies in Hong Kong to eat the chicken manure. So once the chicken manure is being eaten, no waste at all, and the insect become bigger and they are the animal protein, we use it to feed the fish in Hong Kong. So that is interesting, a closed-loop economy. And one more example is that we use the wood waste to convert them to the biochar, and we supply to the water authority as a filter. It is another plant. We are building it in the Eco Park. It will commence operation next year. So our business is about ESG. Although, as I said, we are the biggest cleaner, and we are also the biggest recycler in Hong Kong. And the reason why I'm here and inviting our two guests here because Baguio is an early customer of Lewis Company for their disinfection robot when we put it in one of the government premises. And for Andrew's business about smart toilet, we work with Andrew shoulder to shoulder because we work with them because we are also managing a lot of public toilets. We find that the public toilets are the smart toilets produced by the Andrew's team. So I'm quite happy to link our two friends together. We work together. And then let's pass it the time to Louis, right?
Thank you, Mr. Chow. Thank you, Mr. Chow. Next, please welcome Mr. Louis Ho, co-founder and CEO of Avalon Steritech Limited, to guide us through on reshaping the cleaning and disinfection industry. Mr. Ho, please.
Okay, thank you, Ron, for the invitation, and also for Mingo's very interesting introduction. Just by way of background, I'm actually trained as a lawyer for about 20 years, so I found this company afterwards. But before I actually studied law in Hong Kong, I actually studied environmental science. So kind of everything kind of flowed back, and now I'm running and starting a company for public health, and also on the mobility, because I also checked all the boxes that you just named. Actually, we fit two of them. So just a little bit of background about our company. So our company, Avalon Steritech, we found only less than 3 years. And, but with that 3 years, we actually grow tremendously. So our disinfection robot, probably you see it in the MTR quite often because our robot is in all the MTR stations and also in quite a lot of the depots. And then now also our robot is helping Cathay Pacific to do the disinfection robot for the aircraft disinfection, and then a lot of the shopping malls, schools, and public utilities. So we are quite lucky to have partners like the MTR, Cathay Pacific to start with, and then also we have SoftBank Robotics as our JV partners starting from last year, and then in early this year they actually now also become our investors. This is actually their first investment in Hong Kong. So, and then they also sit on our board. And then with them, we are actually now expanding our business beyond Hong Kong and going for the international market. So of course, with that, I think we closed the kind of pre-seed A round with them and raised about 9 million. We also now have connection with Hong Kong Science Park. We also just got the admitted into the elite program. So in middle of next year, we will actually move in to Science Park. And then also we are in the process of building a robotic AI simulation laboratory in Science Park. So I think all in all, I think we are growing quite good. I think the business growth is more than 100% year by year in the last 2 years. So, I mean, this is how we kind of feel like we are stand out from other company because first of all, we are actually a science-based, science-driven company. So we use our robot to actually help disinfect the area, and then we can actually show to the client the science and the data behind. Okay, and I think that's the reason why within our very short history of time, we're able to persuade MTR, Cathay Pacific, SoftBank Robotics to adopt our technologies. And also all our technology and also the science, the data has been validated by independent laboratory. So we work very closely with SGS. Actually, we are the first disinfection robot got their performance mark because we actually helped them to co-develop the methodology to actually certify a disinfection robot, which is probably the first in the world. And then, of course, we also work very closely with the university in Hong Kong. So we work with Professor Yuen Kwok Yung and also with a lot of professors from the PolyU and other institutions. So that's why all this is, we are actually helping our client, not just to provide the machine and the chemical to them, we actually help them to create a operation procedures, the SOPs. Let's say in the robot, how to actually use it for the metro, how to actually use it in the aircraft, what type of chemical you should use, what the particle size you have to spray, the speed, methodology, even the software. So that's why we're actually providing the whole holistic solution to our client, which I think most of our clients really appreciate. So, but, with this, very short period of time in terms of the development, I think the key for our success is because of collaboration. We try not to tell people that we actually know everything. Honestly, we learn a lot from our clients and we learn a lot from our partners. And also we would like to actually share the resources and also our technology with others. For example, honestly, we are not a very sophisticated robotic company. We prefer to work with the best, which is SoftBank Robotics in the world. And then honestly, we learn a lot from our partners, let's say MTR, in terms of the metro operation, from Cathay Pacific about the whole aviation, the aircraft, disinfection. So with that, we actually get a lot of the know-how and the pain point, and then we develop our technology to cater for their services. So this is the robot that we co-developed with SoftBank Robotics. Actually, it started as a vacuum cleaner. It's a vacuum cleaning robot. It's called Whiz, which they have about 10,000 units selling all over the world. But at the peak of the COVID, of course, I think disinfection is a very important feature. So we're actually honored to be their exclusive partner for the spraying disinfection so that we actually have a component called Gambit, which put at the back of Whiz and now become a two-in-one cleaning and disinfection called Whiz Gambit. So with that, we are actually selling it a lot in Hong Kong. We are probably the market leader in Hong Kong. We have about 200 plus units, actually serving different communities in Hong Kong, including MTR. And then also with SoftBank's support and assistance now, we also are selling our product all over the world in the US, in Europe, Middle East, Australia, Singapore. So this is the sector that we focus on. Because of our history of working with MTR, we traditionally focus on the mass transportation. I think that's the reason why I think mobility is really the focus of us. And honestly, that is the reason as to why we focus on this area, because the risk of infections is actually very high. Just imagine every day you got 5 million people actually using the MTR system. And then in all the aircraft, you can imagine when you fly to New York, let's say 15 hours, even though you try hard not to eat or sleep, but you probably need to go to the restroom, right? So that's why the risk of infections in those confined area with thousands of people, hundreds of people, is much, much higher than at your home, right? So that's why we focus our disinfection technology and our robot to serve those industry. So with the MTR endorsement, we actually have some success, try to promote this technology to, let's say, BART, San Francisco Subway, MTA, which is New York, and also with the London Elizabeth line. So we are running, okay in terms of, all this endorsement. And then, of course, the other, opportunity for us is actually to work with Cathay Pacific. We have specially designed a new robot, which is very slim, so that it can actually go through the aisles of the economy class, so that it's now actually helping Cathay Pacific to disinfect all the aircraft in Hong Kong. And I suspect this line of business will grow very tremendously because Hong Kong is now back to normal. I think the international traveling is going to be resumed quite soon. So that's also a very good business line for us to go, not just Hong Kong, but also internationally. And then we also partner with, let's say, GE Healthcare in terms of pushing our robot and the technology to public hospitals. And then we're also quite lucky to work with a few hotel groups, both in Hong Kong and also internationally, so that we actually have a new line of product just for the hospitality sectors. And then, of course, with CBRE, we also have a lot of success so far. So this is how we see is, I think collaboration is one. So definitely, I think this today is a very good opportunity for us to meet people, work with different company, and also thanks very much for Ron's suggestion, because they're actually one of our first customers in Hong Kong, trying our robot, which got very good feedback. So today, honestly, I want to actually come here and learn more from colleagues and also friends. And if there's anything we can help, I think in terms of the ESG, we definitely are pushing towards that, because the chemical that we're using is the only certified eco product in Hong Kong. And also the robot, the chemical that we spray out, the particle size is actually much more fine, so that we actually help to reduce the chemical to be used for disinfection. So we are also trying to contribute towards the way of reducing the chemical waste and also to preserve our environment. So this is all what I want to share today, and then I look forward to the panel discussion afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ho. Please be seated. Coming up next, everyone, please welcome Mr. Andrew Ip, co-founder and director of SoftHeart.io, to discuss, can smart toilets help us get to net zero? Mr. Ip, please.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Nice to meet you all today. I'm Andrew, CEO and co-founder of SoftHeart.io. A little bit introduction for what we do. So we, a survey from Cisco says 70% of the IoT project failed in the market because all the IoT or smart projects involve hardware, connectivities, platforms, and so many parties, and they don't talk well to, or communicate not well to each another. So that's why only 30% of the project success. And our company tried to solve that problem. So our solution comes with a hardware that convert the sensor into a universal format, and a network that leverage all the IoT specific network to do the transmission. And then we have a middleware to convert the data to different platforms so that they can use or ride the IoT wave to do different projects like ESG or a net zero. But when I talk to company or talk to investor, so what do you bring to me? So that's why we focus on deployment. We land the projects effectively, and as a smart specialist for smart buildings. So in the market, you will see, okay, the HVAC specialist, security specialist, and we are the smart specialists. So anything about smart, we help you to solve your problem. And in Hong Kong, for smart toilet, there are 800 smart toilets run by FEHD. And today, we have around 14 smart toilets deployed. And one full features smart toilet at ParticleX right next to Science Park. And it's about to open. So if you have time, look at the luxury smart toilet. And for that one, and that is our third generation of smart toilet. And everyone viewed smart toilet or public toilet have their own view. FHD focus on user experience, work efficiency. EMSD view it as more on how to manage the equipment. And the ASD focus on how it looks and how people use it. So when we do the latest one, what can we do? So we have done all already. So that's why we propose about how do we do the net zero. So in that project, we view the smart toilets. It's not a toilet. It's the small buildings. When you look at FEHD smart toilet, it's all the little entity. And then when we compare to what data we collect, it's pretty similar to the building. So we collect utilizations, how people use it, when the peak hour, when would be less people to use it. We collect energy usage. For that ParticleX smart toilet, there's an ARPV panel, the solar panel to collect solar energy, and then for use for the toilet itself. And then we collect water usage, not only the consumption, we also detect if there's any leakage from the pipe. The waste, we collect all the waste generate from the rubbish bin. And the IAQ, of course, that is the ventilations, air purifying, and also the air quality that we collect. And the last one we don't do is the security. So we don't install CCTV inside the toilet, for sure. So that's why we have one more to take care of, the vandalism. And we have a lot of experience to take care of those area, and that is very difficult, especially when you cannot use CCTV to do security. And when we build the smart toilet, we have to set up a framework within what we do and what should we include. So for first one, we have the smart control. So we collect the data and then take action to upon how many people in the location. We turn on the light, we turn on the fan, and if not in the peak hour, we turn that a little bit down to keep the airflow without any discomfortability. And we do it locally on an edge or do it from the cloud, depends on the area. Sometimes you want to keep on doing or the control without the connectivities. And we have a monitoring to keep track all the sensors, are they in good shape or not? And we have data analytics to see, okay, to analyze all the data and to see how we manage, how we use, and how we improve the usage of all the resources. And for the data dashboard, that's more for the management view to see, okay, the snapshot, what is today, or 7 days, or last month compared to the previous period. And the last one, and another company missed that one, is the automation. So how does it automate to do the checking itself to make sure all the data or all the sensors are collecting good quality of the data? And then if anything happens, can it forward the message to the responsible person to take in action? And that is one of the areas, I think, in most of the project that's missing. And when we do the deployment, we installed over 150 sensors within the toilet. That from utilizations like occupancy, people flow, queuing sensors, to energy usage from the ARPV panel to the energy to the power meter. And for the green, we installed a green wall, installed the smart control for the fan, and also air purifier. And the last one is the related to social, there's people count, occupancy, and consumables, and the waste. And then we combine into all, we made up a dashboard. So we calculate, we know it's a long process. So we have the great idea, but a lot of people, they don't have a lot of, it's so new to them. So we do one step at a time. And instead of showing some fancy one, we do a simple calculations. Okay, it's just like a balance sheet, right? So how much we generate, how much we use, and then equal to how much. And then we provide that so that they have a baseline to manage a smart public toilet. And as a whole, we can expand to how to manage a smart buildings. So I think that would be, that's why we promoted not only the smart toilet. It's a building. When you look at the ParticleX, it's a separate building. When you look at Avenue Street public toilet, it's like a 3-story high buildings already. So why we view it as a toilet? It's a building. So it's a good way to test a lot of new technology inside, and then as a testing bed for new technology. But when we talk about the big picture, is very nice, right? But there's a lot of challenge when we do this kind of projects. So I think for different stakeholders, they have different view. For the general public, they view, oh, you spend a lot of money on this one, and I only see some signage numbers for the availabilities, and then that is not they want. But I think through educations, we can say, okay, because of the data that we collect, we know one would be like a man, like to use the cubicle in the morning. They don't use it in the afternoon. So when they do the cleaning, they can do the better management. And instead of doing regular checkup, they can do on demand to save carbon footprint. So that's why to the education, to the communications, then we can bring everyone together, not just the general public, the operators, and then the business owners. So we work together. And also the second one is the service level. And that directly affects to the data quality. And for all the projects, in order to get a good view of the good use for the data analytics, you need continuous data. You need quality of data. And you don't expect downtime. So how are we going to make it more effectively through a lot of uncertainty in the market, like the connectivities, the vandalism, and the sensor quality itself. And we have to set a service level. The third one is the data quality and how we ensure the data is good, especially for the ESG, for the CO2 emission. You have to have accurate data to the policymaker, for the certifications, and how we guarantee the data is genuine and is correct. And that is another challenge for us. And the last one, the security and privacy, and how to balance between the security for the ease of use and then compliance to different standard that we have to deliver. And for the compliance, not limited to security, but all the policy, like the energy usage, the ESG. So there's a lot of compliance that we have to do. And once we have this one set up, and we are very excited to have it ready by this month, and a lot of government officials coming to the site, and then a lot of roadshow across different shopping malls. And I think it's not just the toilet. It's about the smart building. It's shaping the future. How does it look like? What sensors are useful? What data they want to use? And we want to scale up to bigger buildings. The secondly, and how we scaled out. To manage 2 toilets is different from manage 12, and different to manage 200, and even 400. And how to flow the data, how to maximize the usage of the data, and that is something that we are looking forward. The management for the hardware, for the people, for the stakeholder is also the difficult area, especially for how to link up all the parties together. Human being is the hardest part to manage. The sensor part is okay, but the other stakeholder is difficult. And that is one of the areas that we have to educate, communicate. For the innovation, we have to think out of the box. The sensors, the software are code. And we believe that is only half of the story. That's why we link up other partners to do more social educations, like how to change the behavior to save energy, to reduce carbon footprint. And that is doable, but we need to work together. That's why the circular economy is so important, to bring everyone together, to work together, to reduce the carbon footprint. And the last one is the collaboration, how to do the partnerships, how to work together, not just the technology side, but also like the general public, different NGOs, different enterprises, and then we can bring Hong Kong a better place. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yip, for the sharing. I'm also very excited to witnessing this new smart toilet near Hong Kong Science Park. So Mr. Yip, please remain near the stage. Now let me invite Mr. Louis Ho from Avalon and Mr. Andrew Ip from Mr. Ip, please stay. And also invite the speakers back onto stage for a panel discussion moderated by Mr. Mingus Choi of ParticleX. Mr. Choi, the stage is yours. Thank you.
Sorry, yeah, I still need to go to the script. Yeah, sorry. Yes. Okay. Okay. Thank you for your sharing, Ron, Louis, and Andrew. Yeah, it's very inspiring to hear each of you about your achievement and also your work in the Urbantech and also Proptech. But today, the topic of this session is about circular economy, and in a more layman perspective, it's just input and output. And then during the input and output, we have generating waste and how to convert the waste into recycling. So the first question maybe, or just discussion topic I'll address to Ron about under a, say, if perfectly, we hope everything can be recycled, but I think it's quite impossible, right? So as a very big corporate recycling service providers, how will you strive for this ideal scenario and how to address these challenges? Yeah.
I think having zero waste is almost impossible. But I think I would like to reiterate the government has a target by 2035. They will have a zero waste into the landfill. I think that is more practical. But in order to have a more reduction on the waste during the recycling, I think technology could help a lot. Yeah, to purify the recycling process and then to make sure that we are more effective and efficient.
Yeah. So any other compliment by, say, Louis or Andrew? Especially Andrew, you have talking about public toilet, which is hygiene, and a lot of waste from our human beings into the toilet. So is it possible really to we can collect the waste?
Yeah, I think that the pain point, once you have a pain point, you will need to find the solutions.
Yeah.
And if that is one of the government biggest pain point, I think the government will push it and for example, like Lychee Wall, they have, we are working on a toilet over there. And because they store the waste, the human waste, and it require a ship to ship out all the waste once a week. But if we can leverage like Ron's technology to do it at the site, I think that would be a big help instead of, because you cannot, you can't just do it regularly because of the COVID. You cannot plan the shipment. You have to on demand. So that's why if we can do it at the site, I think would be a good one.
Yeah. So that's the technology can help, right? Because of the right on time, just in time, because of the sensors that you don't need to waste too many labors and also equipment. And so, Louis, you are helping us a lot in hygienic prevention and also a lot of public health measures. So although it may not be very relevant to circular economy, but it's still a very important elements in our urban tech pillars. So how will you foresee for the coming days, especially in Hong Kong, or even you can say talk about more on even China or GPA region on this trend on using technology for public health prevention and so.
Yeah, thank you. I think in terms of the disinfection, I think maybe COVID is somewhat towards the end, but we really don't know whether there will be new strains coming, which might be more contagious. But even after COVID, there would be flu, there would be different types of viruses, So I think from our kind of projection, we will see there will be some sort of cycle coming, right? So we really don't want to have lockdown, because lockdown is really like the most draconian way to stop the virus from growing, right? So we will promote and advocate is you need to have some sort of routine cleaning and disinfection to make sure that the environment is actually not good for virus and bacteria to grow. Okay, that is really going towards that, rather than every time you need to have millions of people go for vaccine and try that. That is a bit more too much. And I think the way we will promote it is using different types of chemical. We keep promoting our theme is actually responsible use of chemical, because probably in the last 3 years, you have tried a lot of different types of disinfectant, be it alcohol, be it different types of chemical, which sometimes we don't know what they are, right? We try hard to minimize the chemical usage. For example, in the MTR train, when we do the disinfection, we actually use pressurized hydrogen peroxide. And the reason is because when hydrogen peroxide is integrated with oxygen, it will break down and become water and oxygen again. H2O2 become H2O and oxygen. Then there will be no chemical residue when we disinfect the chemical, the train. Of course, it's not applicable in all scenarios, but at least we will try hard to actually figure out there is any balance of using less of the chemical, or honestly less harmful chemical, which can also serve the same efficacy. I think that is what we would like to achieve and contribute to this ESG theme. Yeah.
All right, yeah. So because you both are, Louis and Andrew, you both are from startups stages. So although one is maybe more mature, one is more younger. I think when you try to get the big companies like Ron's attention, okay, draw the attention from your business client, do any tips for our staffs to learn from you guys how to pitch to a companies and how to successfully get the attention and also get the orders. Yeah, or maybe Andrew first. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. It's more like about trust. How you build a trust relationship between you and the customer is the number one key. When you build the trust, there are three things. The first one is if you know the product well, can you be trust as a consultant or advisor to the problem for the problem solving. The second one, are you professional? Are you deliver all the way as a professional do? The third one is how you behave, like in China say, 靠谱. so I think that would be the key for us, and it certainly apply to different business, even startup, and that is, I think, the advice that I give.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew. Louis?
So yeah, I think my experience is we actually have the product at the application in mind before we actually found the company or start an R&D project. For example, for this disinfection product and robot, actually we have a lot of feedback from MTR even before COVID. So actually this is not a product we developed for COVID. It's actually we have some foresight, and then we discuss with MTR, and then we come up with the prototype before COVID. So this company was actually built upon the client feedback and the actual application in mind. So I think this is something which we drive to scale up and also to accelerate the R&D process. And then we actually have the commercial angle really from day one of the company. So I think that really helped us to actually grow the company in a relatively short period of time. I think this is something which we don't just focus and emphasize on the best technology or the quickest technology in the world, but rather is how actually we can do the last mile from day one. So this is kind of my observation from this journey.
So back to the buyer, okay, the company buyer.
Yep.
So how will you select any criteria for selecting the best solution to work together to collaborate or partner with?
I think there's no shortcut. I think the key is that we put it into the real life situation, test it, and then we as a user to really use it for a short while, and then we can give you a lot of feedback. I'll give you an example. We usually use a lot of new technology. Sometimes technology could be even for the first user or first customer of some company. In the last few years, we have tried a lot of robots. Sometimes cleaning robot, not this company, from the other company. I'm sure if you an example. There's one or two cleaning company. When they clean the roll automatically, they need to have a distance from the wall, 50 centimeters. But after they clean it, everything is clean except the 50 centimeters across the whole building. So my question is that, who's going to clean that? We need another people to clean that, right? So what is the purpose of the robot then? So sometimes when they build the robot, they want to make sure that the robot will not be hitting the wall and there will not be some damages. But there's something that we will provide some constructive feedback if the machine is on the practical situation earlier during the development phase, so we can give you some practical feedback. Yeah.
All right. So any question from the floor? We can do some interactive Q&A or ask me something about investment. Yeah, could be.
Thank you very much for the speakers, Ron and Andrew and Louis. I have two questions for Ron and Andrew. One is about the recycling industry. Because you're the biggest one, Ron, your company is the biggest one, the leading one in the Hong Kong, the recycling industry. So this topic is about the circular economy. So I want to have your advice. What is the role, do you think, any insight for your company to the whole recycling industry to have a bigger circular economy for recycling? This is my first question. The second one is about Andrew, because smart toilet is quite hot in the recent news. And so how do you think about this innovation of the smart toilet can scale up? Can you think it can scale to whole Hong Kong, including not only public toilet, but also in the more public housing and all properties? How about the view of how can the smart toilet can scale up to the whole tertiary Hong Kong market, even expand to or export to other regions? These are two questions.
I think in order to have a more effective circular economy or more successful circular economy, It's like triangle. One is the player, like Baguio. Another is the people of Hong Kong. And the government is like a three critical component of a successful circular economy. Because the government needs to drive some policy in order to change the behavior of the people, and to provide more education, and then the people need to change their behavior in order to really do what we need to do to achieve the circular economy. Yeah, all three components are equally important. Yeah.
So do you think your the whole recycling industry do you think it's good impact for the ultimate goal of the Paris Agreement 2030 or some goals for the whole Hong Kong or government?
Of course, Paris Agreement is the drivers of every government to achieve the commitment. So there's a driver of the changes for the Hong Kong SAR as well. Yeah.
That is all about how to convert the innovation to ROI. And for the ROI, different people or different organizations have different rulers. So when we come to FHD, they talk about work efficiency, how to manage it. And we have to provide the data that can benefit to the management team. And then I think we did it. And for the commercial market, it's different. Because they have people so-called attendant at every toilet. And if they install sensors, they spend like minimum like 100K, for example, for a toilet. They don't get the ROI. So it's very difficult for them. So we have to get a sweet spot. May not be just focused on management. So maybe something that can take away. And if we want to scale up or scale out, so we don't see it's just a toilet. How to build the smart buildings is our goal. It's not just toilet. We think out of the toilet. And if we apply the same technology, and that will be more commercial, step outside of the toilet within the shopping mall, for example. And they can leverage the same technology for reducing carbon footprint.
Yes, I think the ROI methodology now, people are quite aware of the social return on investment, although it's very new and controversial. But believe me, I've been doing this for more than 10 years. I have my association called Hong Kong Institute of Social Impact Analysts, which we try to quantify the social return. And for smart toilet, I believe there will be some indirect or non-financial return, like the risk of reducing disease, virus spreading, and also the water saving, and also the efficiency of cleaning. And in a sense of cost saving can be quantified, but I think some of the parameters or KPI of any health-related improvement or people awareness, and also happier because you go to a public toilet with more lighting, right, and more customized, user-friendly devices. I think everyone will be happy. So the city happier, the more prosperous of our economy, I think. All right, anyway, and any other questions from the floor that you want to call for? Anything we can talk, even fundraising. How do I invest? No one want to know? Okay. Anyway, okay. Then it's time, or no more? Okay, yeah. Then it's time to we can wrap up this discussion. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much, panel members. So maybe you guys can stay for a while, and then we can take a group photo of the panel first.
Yeah, let's take a photo.
Welcome back, everyone. Now, let us move into a panel discussion on transforming the property industry through innovation. Today, we are very happy to have Mr. Henry Fan, Manager, New Ventures of Chinachem Group, Mr. Kevin Lee, Head of Smart Facilities Management, SoChem Development Limited, Mr. Anthony Stewart, CFO of Amt Energy, Mr. Hugo Churk, co-founder and COO, VACT. On this panel, moderated once again by Mr. Mingo Choi of ParticleX. Mr. Choi, please.
Okay, thank you. Hi, panelists. Thank you for joining us today afternoon. Now, our topic now is about Proptech and built environment. So it's a little bit different from the previous one on circular economy. So we are more on the more substantial, maybe or more easy to understand is living, and also how to do it. But before we go into the discussion, I think maybe each of you can make a self-introduction. Maybe we got from Hugo first, yeah, as a startup, yeah. You have something?
Yeah, I have some slide. So yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, thanks ParticleX organized this very insightful events. So I'm Hugo, the co-founder and CEO of VET. So basically, VET is a what we call ESG now, focus on the construction sustainability. We basically a AI cloud platform to utilize the CCTVs to digitize those like the data in the construction site to help them to do some auto workflow. So in the old ways, many people you see in the security room, they sitting there, have some engineer or security guard sitting in front of thousands or hundreds of like screens to monitoring the process or monitoring some events happening in the job sites or the premises. And what we think is like those like the video data is unavailable, and those like the data from the video is like very insightful. But how can we extract those data to do a more insightful alerts or like the workflow is very important. So what we wanted to do is using AI, using computer vision, the technologies to centralize, automate those data, and then we help them to like automate the whole monitoring workflow. So most of the construction site nowadays, 80% of them is like install the CCTV camera. So we basically using the existing infrastructure, connect with our AI cloud, then all the data will be centralized and streaming to our cloud platform. And all those stakeholders from the workers to the middle management, even to the top management, they can just like visualize our platform. They can see all the data, all the happenings happening in the job sites. And as we starting the company back to 2016, we continuous doing R&D on AI on construction field. So we are one of the, I can say, one of the companies in the world that publish most of the R&D, the research paper in the public research gate. And we have already pre-built over 50 AI modules covering like environmental, social, safety, sustainability, and productivity. And some awards and recognitions are coming from other countries and worldwide. Some of them are like research awards. Some of them are more on the safety because we drive safety quite strong in the, I mean, not just in Hong Kong, but in the overall in the world. And some coverage from different countries because not just, we're starting from Hong Kong, definitely, but our business, our story is like spreading all over the world. So how can we using AI to enhance the safety is very important to the, I mean, human life, the sustainability for the whole global. So our story is spreading out, and then many like medias is covering our journey. And our global footprint, starting from Hong Kong, we have different kinds of like accelerator we joined it. Of course, we are alumni of Hong Kong Science Park, and we are the only one and the first one of non-Israeli startups joining the Israel government-backed accelerator. And yeah, we have different like strategic partners in Singapore and in Middle East, which help us like to distribute our softwares in their countries and regions. So yeah, that's all my introductions. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Hugo. Yeah, very impressive of what you have been doing for the last 2 years. Yeah. For clarity, we are is our portfolio. Okay, so I declare the interest here, declaration of interest. But and then also our portfolio, AMPDM. Yeah, Anthony. Yeah.
I've got another slide as well. Perfect.
Yeah, perfect.
Hello. So I'm the CFO of Amped Energy. Our founder would love to be here, Brandon, but he's just on the way back from London, where we've deployed our first 3 units. So we're now officially in 4 countries. So what is Amped Energy? So our vision here is an emission-free future for constructions. And what's driving this is we see hyper-urbanization. So right now we're building an average 1 Paris a week, and that's going to continue for the next 30 to 40 years. So huge amounts of building. What we see though in this building is, and as you kind of see there, the AI needs, the power needs and the data needs of these sites is increasing, but all the grids are being stressed. So what we currently do is now is people use diesel generators. The issue, missed here, diesel bans, and then the diesel generators need diesel, but we're getting bans. In April of this year, the UK banned red diesel. Oslo has banned diesel from 2025. So if you can't get a grid connection, you can't use diesel, how do you power your site? In Hong Kong, how it's been powered right now is by these big diesel generators. They're noisy, they're loud, they create diesel fumes. If you ever walk past one, you can actually smell it and you feel it in your lungs. It feels horrible. Also, high carbon footprint, and with the surge in oil prices, they're actually now really expensive. So in 2018, Gammon approached us and said, hey, we have these, we hate them, what can you do? And we had no idea. So we partnered with Gammon, they gave us access to the site, and we produced the Entertainer. It started off as a joke, energy container, Entertainer, and it's kind of stuck. We are the first ever energy storage system to be designed for construction. Construction has a very specific power profile, which it needs to meet. So our solution, imagine a Tesla. It's almost quiet. It's silent. So you can actually now operate 24/7. It's fully automatic. So we log in, we have a data profile. We see the power usage, where you're sitting. We can highlight any issues. There's no diesel hazards or fires. There's no spills. We reduce CO2 by somewhere between 85 and 95%. In New Zealand, which has a very green grid, it's 95% reduction. Hong Kong, we're about 85% reduction of CO2. No diesel fumes. So right now, it could be in this room, and you could walk by and it wouldn't bother you at all. And we're cheaper now as fuel. Here is our operating system. So everyone gets real live data. So you can log in, you know your state of charge, you know your temperature. So we had a site a week ago, and the temperature was rising. We're like, that's really weird. So we gave them a call, and they put a tarpaulin over it, so it couldn't vent. They pulled it off, and any issue was averted. So we were able to maintain our site. We've deployed 150 units across Hong Kong, Singapore, Australia, and UK, most of them in Hong Kong. We've powered over 100 sites. And on Murray Road, you've got Hong Kong's 2 largest tower cranes. We're powering them right now. So 150 years of data. And that's an intro to us. We're growing. It's really exciting. And the biggest piece for us is kind of growing debt to grow the business. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. Very impressive too. Yeah, helping the sustainable development. So the next, we have a property developer as a buy side, maybe the Henry Fan, representing the China Chem Group.
Okay, thanks, Mingos. Hi, so everyone, Henry Fan from China Chem Group. So let me do a brief about China Chem Group, quickly. So basically, our DNA is in property. We started it as like a property developer. But at the same time, by the way, we got like 60 years of history in Hong Kong, quite some time. And after we developed the property, we nowadays we are also keeping a portfolio of like property under our own management. So basically, we are also a property manager, for commercial building, residential, some retail, as well as some industrial, and we are extending our property management area as well. So we are like doing some exploration on data center and some other stuff. But I can supplement all this later. And property management, but as well, we are running a hotel chain in Hong Kong. Nowadays, we are basically focused in Hong Kong. So in the past, we got some other assets overseas. But but we are trying, just like other startups, we are trying to expand overseas as well. Yeah, going back to the UK and going back to China. So this is basically our mission nowadays. And from our property management profile and hotel, what we see is that every day, although we are a property developer, but every day we actually, our business got so much interaction with different people. So we understand that we are not going to just build a house, build a property, sell it, and it's done, money is in. No, that is not what we want to do. So basically, like our mission nowadays is we call it like 3 Ps. What are they? So basically, money is not the the only mission that we are doing. So we are talking about prosperity. Yes, money. We have to earn some money to have a sustainable business, but as well like people. Just like I said, we got so many interaction, and we are going to make the people live better, more social environment. And then the third thing is basically the planet. So what we are doing, we have a great impact on the planet, on all those environment. So nowadays we are doing to achieve the best, like all these 3 Ps, but more in a balanced way. So this is today's Chinacam, and as well we are transforming our business, data center. That's what I said. Healthcare, we are doing some elderly care as a start that I can share a bit later. So yeah, this is the Chinacam nowadays. So I myself, I am the title shown here is like new venture manager. So I was managing the first accelerator of like CCG accelerator that is basically powered by HKSTP. We are a close partner. The first cohort, that basically I started the first cohort, 10 very innovative solutions at Central Market. Some very good result is found. And then, so this is like new ventures. My another head is basically I'm the manager of CCG investments. So I also help on some venture investment. Yeah, so thanks.
Thank you, Henry. So the next one, we have Kelvin Lee representing the SOCAM, which is called Shui-On. Yeah, so Kelvin, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Mingles and ParticleX for inviting me to join this panel discussion. I think it's certainly a great honor. We've prepared not too many slides. I'll probably just cover one of them. So as Mingle mentioned, maybe not many people of you here are familiar with SOCAM. SOCAM, we're actually part of Shui-On Group. So Shui-On has been around for more than half a century now. We celebrated our 50th anniversary last year. It was founded by our chairman, who's still our chairman today, Mr. Vincent Lo. So we started off as a general contractor in Hong Kong. In the 90s, we expanded into Shanghai, and we slightly switched roles into a property developer. So we developed our first development, which was Xintiandi, right in the middle of Shanghai. That was, thankfully, was a huge success. And since then, we've replicated the Xintiandi model across mainland China. So today, we have 2 main businesses. The first is SOCAM, which is on the left-hand side. SOCAM today, we're still a general contractor. In fact, we're quite active in general contracting, and our clients primarily consist of different government bodies. So for example, we've built roughly 15% of the public housing in Hong Kong for our government. We're also building a lot of different other buildings for the government as well. The second main piece of business for SOCAM is property services. So by that I mean traditional property management, as well as O&M, property maintenance. We also have a small piece of real estate property in mainland China. So on the right-hand side is Shui-On Land, which originated from the Xintiandi development in Shanghai, which our chairman ventured into in the late 90s. Today, Xintiandi is a property developer in mainland China. I should say Shui-On Land is a property developer in mainland China. We also have an asset management arm because, like Chinacam, we continue to run our commercial property ourselves, own and run. So these would be retail and also office buildings. So we operate under a brand called Xintiandi. So I would say today Shui-On is a full spectrum player in the built environment. we're a general contractor ourselves, but we also do our own development. We also manage our own property, but we also manage and operate property for third parties.
Thank you, Kevin. So I think the ordinance or online or offline, you can learn from this organization structure, which I used to be a management lecturer before. So it's a very interesting organization structure that you try to actively divide different stream of business into different layers. So you have different specialties to do that instead of grouping together. But maybe this is another alternative approach of managing a company. So good to hear that. And I think it's very amazing that today we have both seller and buyers of services, technology. So especially, I think some of you already as a client and also the service provider relationship. So, but at first, question maybe go to Kelvin on how, because you have given us a very good introduction, but in terms of the practical experience on working with startups, will you also elaborate something like maybe coding to what we is doing with you or AMP is doing? Any interesting insight that you can share with us working with startups? Yeah?
Sure. I think there's a page, if
Pull up Kelvin.
the PPT again. But I guess maybe while we're waiting for the page, I'll just step back a little bit and tell everyone a little bit about our journey in terms of how we want to be more innovative and also digitalize our operations. So I think it was really around the onset of COVID, which really gave everyone in our management team and the board a real wake-up call in terms of how we want to position ourselves to be the contractor and player for the future. We call ourselves builder for the future, at least for the SOCAM side. And therefore, roughly 2 years ago, we made a big push towards innovation and digitalization. Obviously, as an organization that's been around for more than 50 years, there's a lot of legacy processes in place in terms of how we do things, how HR, likes their forms to be filled in, et cetera, et cetera. All that change takes time, but with the support of our board and the senior management, I think that's critical, because without that, then everything is going to be much harder. So since then, we figured that as a developer or a contractor in Hong Kong, we want to meet more startups, and actually we didn't know how to start because all our friends were engineers or surveyors or consultants. So we said, okay, now we need to get into the circle. And how do we get into the circle? So we need to meet more friends. So that's why we've been more active in these events. Yeah. And since then, we've actually met a lot of new friends. We've actually met Brandon and AMPD's team, and we've deployed AMPD in some of our sites, and we actually found them to be very useful. Obviously, there's a big story on decarbonization, but on top of that, on the practical side, because some of our sites are actually quite close to schools, quite close to residential sites, the quiet point is also a big plus. Roughly 2 years ago, since the onset of COVID, we also built before we didn't have a centralized monitoring room to look at all our sites. Roughly 2 years ago, we did that. But since we did that, what we figured was it actually takes a lot of manpower to look at 50 screens, right? So we met VACT, and now we use the computer or AI to help us look at the screens. The main focus of that is obviously on safety. As a contractor in Hong Kong, safety is very important, because once we have a big accident or a fatal event, that really impacts not just our brand, but also in terms of the way that our ability to put in a next contract with the government, because the government puts safety first. There are a lot of other examples that I can give. We're also looking at different software to optimize how we want to design our buildings, because in Hong Kong or with our own portfolio in mainland China, there's a big design element. Oftentimes that's done by our consultants, cross-checked by our internal staff, but that takes a lot of manpower. And oftentimes our consultants like to over-design, right? That's what people tend to do. There are certain technologies out there today with the help of AI that actually helps us optimize the design of our buildings in terms of keeping the minimal structural elements of the building, but at the same time satisfying the building codes of local regulation. So these are just some examples that we've deployed. I would say we're still on our learning journey. It's still the beginning. One thing I should add is we've also made a decision in order to be more active in the startup space. We've asked the board for a mandate to actually invest in startups ourselves, because we feel like we can be more engaged and have a deeper relationship with the startups. So actually, we've invested in AMP roughly, I think it was 12, 18 months ago. And we're very happy so far.
I see. All right. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Kelvin, for elaborating. So for Chinachem Group, Henry, do you have any more hands-on tips on how or cases for working with startups?
Yeah, sure. Firstly, I want to echo Kevin's point. In a corporate, there are actually quite many legacy systems and ways of doing. And I'm from the new franchise team. Always like talk about innovation, technology in a corporate. But what we see is that actually, frankly, culture or the way that people is doing is quite important. If you cannot change their way of working, you put a very innovation, or we always say this, okay, we buy you a Ferrari, but you drive like, I don't know, maybe a Civic, or even, more slower car, that is no use. So we always think like culture is one important thing. And another point is that, yes, like senior management, they want to change. And as well, actually, the frontline staff always want to change, because it saves their time and make the work easier. And then, but in a corporate, what I see is that sometimes it goes to the mid-management, sometimes it goes to the compliance, the legal team, that there is some obstacle or some way blocking the innovation to happen. And from that point of view, actually my recommendation for a startup is that, firstly, okay, you talk to Chinachem Group. Chinachem Group is not one person. When you have chance, always educate your client, with more people. Legal team, oh, you are from Chinachem. Talk to me. Listen my idea. Tell them what is the good about your solution. And it does help. Because some staff always think, okay, I'm checking out with maybe that specific project team, and I got one contact, and I work with him. That's enough. That is not enough. You see the CEO, talk with him. You see the frontline, the worker, talk with him. Seriously, because tech is one thing, culture and mindset is another thing. So I think this is my first advice to startup. Yeah. And hey, Mingos, maybe I supplement later or on some other suggestion. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Henry. We are now back to the startup side for how to pitch to the corporate clients on doing that. But somehow it seems you both have been successfully getting into the corporate procurement list, right? Already using it. So when remembering or recalling your memory about when is your first pitch to say to SOCAM or to Chinachem, how how can you get into this door of selling your solution to them? Maybe he'll go first. Yeah.
Very interesting point. I mean, as a startup, I think one point is very important is like patient. You need to be patient as long as you're doing a B2B business, right? I mean, back to 2016, 2018, we keep like not just touch point, but educating the industry. We keep day and day meetings, webinars to educating the industries how to using AI. What is AI? What AI can help? We need to have empathy. We understand your audience is not the tech guy, especially they are not the AI guy. They don't know what you can help, but you need to tell them what you can do for them, not how strong or how great your technology is how you can help them to solve their problems. And I think we are lucky. I mean, SoCam is one of the earliest adopter of our technologies. And one thing is very important. We select the early adopter. Basically, we understand the DNA from their company. So when the first day we talk with them, we understand that of course, they are talking about digitalization, push innovation. But the most important thing, because we are more focusing on safety, we are more focusing on people, sustainability, and their motto and the DNA from SoCam, they take very serious on safety. So this is a kind of like a hidden alignment between we and them. So at that point, we're very easy to match. It's not that much challenge.
Okay, very interesting and also inspiring that once the culture of the buyer and seller match, then it can be a perfect, procurement and also engagement on the solution. So how about Anthony representing AMPT?
Sure. So I'm actually not involved in too much customer pitching these days. I pitch to banks and investors. So it still is, it's pitching. And I've been rejected at least 100 times. Don't care about it. You'll get rejected again and again and again, but who cares? All you need is one investor to say yes. My wife hates it when I do it. If I'm talking to someone at a party and I hear they're from kind of a bank, I bring it up. I won't be direct and say, hey, can you give me money? But I'll bring about what I'm doing, how we're going. And most people in banks, they want to hear about it. They want to be the cool person who brings this new idea to their boss. They want to be the person who brings this cool idea to the investor. So you may think that you're being a bit of a pain in the ass by bringing up what you do, but actually by giving them ideas, you're making them the person in the know. So almost be a little bit shameless. I call myself a corporate beggar. That's who I am. I'm out there raising money the whole time. And it kind of drives my wife insane a little bit. But love what you do and just always do it.
Maybe people not aware that before Anthony joined the company, Brandon himself need to pitch to the banks. And I also help him to pitch to the banks for debt financing. A startup, it doesn't only the equity financing for shares or transfer of shares. And because of their business model, they need to have a lot of cash on the bank for manufacturing the antenna. And it's not making sense to do many rounds of equity financing because it's calculated return and cost of the fund that you can balance and also can without diluting your shares. So it's very important, and they understand this very much. So and we call it as an education process to the banks, right? Because I also pitched to a machinery lease company for that, and then that guy would say, we cannot calculate the residual life of your device because it's so new that how can they provide the debt financing for you without understanding? They can provide debt financing for the Caterpillar crane, right? Or the elevator because all are well defined. So very interesting is the equipment can be now defined under the financial ecosystem, and they pay a very hard effort to do that. Yeah, thank you, Anthony. Yeah, and so I think the next maybe one more round of question, and then we will go to the floor for answering that. Is I think for some future outlook. I mean, because we hope to provide some learning outcome. Or for the floor about what will be the next technologies or or how you perceive the future in terms of property technology on the whole urban tech. So maybe we can start with the technology provider first, say Hugo. You are working on safety, but with AI technology and a lot of sensing. Yeah. So how will you see the future?
Over the hundreds job sites that we have helped across Asia, EU, Middle East nowadays, I think what we get and what we gain and learn is like using AI is not just focusing on the construction industries. Nowadays, what we do is help them to do a one-stop solution. So from the day they're doing foundation to building up the high-rise and then doing the facility management, smart facility management. And then we have come across different industries, even in overseas, like oil and gas, mining, which is that kind of industry is not in Hong Kong, but definitely overseas we can help. So we're using the same technologies. How to using the same technologies repeatable to apply to different industries is very important. And because every single of these industries, they have one single goal is like to help the people to enhance the safety, save people's life. So we catch up this kind of like a single goal, then we deploy it to different sectors. And what we see nowadays using AI is still in the early stage in the group. And people are getting more familiar with what is calling AI. But what we see in the next 2 to 5 years, then more complicated use case will be adopted, will be created, and more complicated algorithm will be like doing the R&D, doing the development, will be helping more sophisticated workflow can be doing the fully automation. While on the robotic trends, while on the different machineries trends, then definitely can evolve a lot. Yeah.
Anthony?
Sure, I'm kind of lucky because the future's already happening in Oslo. There's this incredible video where there's about 20 kindergarten kids sleeping on the ground, and it pans across, and there's a construction site right next to it. There's not a single drop of oil or diesel on the whole site. They've got electric crawler cranes, electric cranes, all powered by batteries. So for me, the future is going to be fully electric construction sites. You have trucks driving electric, they'll need EV chargers for them. Benefit to this is 1 in 8 deaths are caused by air pollution or linked to it. So cleaning our air is actually really important, one of the more passionate things about. So I think taking it to fully electric construction sites goes a long way to achieving that. And Oslo is already there, which is really impressive.
Yeah. So for Chinachem as a very influential property developers for long history and also this very big size, so I think you should have some, Henry, an insight for the future.
Oh, well, insights, I'm not quite sure, but yeah, we do see something. Basically, like I agree with what Hugo and Anthony said, or what they see. ESG is for sure the future, like how you save more energy, use more energy, and as well less damage to the environment. But by the way, we are actually also a user of AMP in one of our construction sites in Mount Anderson developer site. Maybe I can share why we use AMP in our case. It is very simple. It is very simple, but there is a story there. So basically, like when we bid the tender which is from the government, basically it requires us to use some, let me not use also those like technical terms, just basically some green energy source. Okay, that means less diesel, right? So we actually try to, search in the market what we can use, but eventually, very luckily, we find a Hong Kong startup that can provide a perfect like solution to us. There's much more like things that they can fit into that, and maybe you guys can talk with Anthony like why other than just a charger. We in Chinese we call it liu dai, just a very big one, right? I know. I'm sorry for putting this name here, but yeah, basically just this. But AMP is much more than that. Yeah, it is not just some very basic charger, put it there and it can make it work. There's some very important technology behind. So they can fit well. So maybe the government, the ESG, all those things is pushing that way. ESG is one thing, safety is another thing. So this is the future. I mean, you guys can take it more deeply. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, Kelvin?
Yeah, maybe I'll share a little bit about pain points in our operation and kind of the solutions that we're looking for. I think the first pain point is probably labor, both on the construction side, but actually also on the property management side. It is actually a big headache for us. We're seeing a lot of turnover. It's very difficult to hire construction workers. It's very difficult to hire people to help us manage our own property. So I would say, therefore, the first solution that we're looking at is anything that can help increase productivity of our organization. The second point is decarbonization, because obviously as a listed company, we have our own ESG targets, and we certainly like to commit to SBTi. And therefore, anything that can help us decarbonize our portfolio or our processes would be really helpful, either on the in the construction site, like AMP, or actually during operation, like when we manage our own buildings, anything that can reduce electricity usage, for example, is going to be really helpful. We were looking at our own electricity bill for Shui On Center, and I was actually quite shocked by how much it increased in the past year or two. Maybe you guys don't really pay attention to your home electricity bill, but I can assure you it has actually gone up a lot. So therefore, any solution that can help us reduce our energy usage would be really, really helpful. And then finally, this relates to our, I guess, our shopping malls and our office buildings, primarily in mainland China, but also in Hong Kong, would be the way how we engage with our customers and our tenants, and any solutions or technology which can help us understand our tenants more, help us encourage them to do certain things, help us engage them. All these would be really, really helpful solutions.
Yeah, thank you all for your insight and sharing. I think I try to recap what the conversation previously is. When the buyers and sellers work together, I think there's at least some of the gap that they can resolve together, like operational efficiency, some cost saving, or even transparency of data. But amazingly, because what Henry is sharing is because of M, then they can maybe able to, for the compliancy of the tendering requirement and so on. So you can imagine that when our government, not just in Hong Kong, but I think all over the world, we are all want to do more green economy, climate change. So the policy will drive the operators, no matter the suppliers of technology or demand for technology, they will urge for something that is green or something that can achieve the sustainable development goal. Even Hugo is doing something on living and working condition, which is when you find the ESG goals, is one of their goals. I don't remember which numbers, but you can find that. It's working condition is also very treasured and appreciated by the UN. So that means whatever technology solution these two gentlemen are providing, they at least hit on one of the or several SDGs. Then these will be the advantages of the resourceful contractor or landlord or anyone that try to engage providing services or assets or goods to the community. Then they will be very delighted to use your technology because you can help in shaping the society in a better better world, we can call as a greener world, or more fair, or more safety community. So I think everything without any jargon on ESG or SDG, I think this is the fundamental logic behind what we can, as a startup and technology companies, and to collaborate with some big corporate clients. So we can have still have maybe 10 minutes, so or 5 minutes, so we can still, any question from the Zoom community, Jesse, or any floor discussion or comments that you want to raise, or question to ask our panelists? Okay. If no, that's fine. Yeah, we will take photos and we will end this session. Thank you very much.
So panel members, please stand up for a group photo. So while they are taking the photo, thank you everyone for taking time out of your busy schedule. On behalf of ParticleX, we would like to thank Invest Hong Kong, Start Me Up Hong Kong, Hong Kong Science and Technology Parks Corporation, China Chem Group, Seoul Chem Development, MTR, Baguio, HKAI Lab, Asia Proptech, and Proptech Institute for supporting today's event. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. So we would also like to invite all of you, all of the attendees and all the online attendees to scan the QR code on the screen to join the HKSTP meetup group. You'll be connected to over 3,000 like-minded people at Hong Kong's biggest startups ecosystem and meet with them at our various activities, just like this one today. Thank you so much again for joining us, and have a nice evening and goodbye. For the attendees here in the room, please feel free to stay behind for some light refreshment and also some coffee out there in the common area. So we can say until 6 p.m. today. Thank you very much.